friends, and welcome back to my desktop. In today's video, I am going to be project planning using a digital kit. So we are embarking on this new journey of working with digital and hybrid projects, in addition to our regular physical kits as well. So I'm very excited to bring this new content to you this week. So for this month, we are going to be working with the Evening Story Kit from Ali Edwards. I did put up a poll at the end of last month and you guys voted, and this is the one that won. Now, full disclosure, in the months to come, I likely will not add the same story kit digitally as the one that I am working on physically in the same month. It just causes a little bit of story fatigue for me. So I'm going to do it this time, and I did come up with some additional stories to tell that I am excited about. But in the future, I'm probably going to have there be a little bit of time in between when I work on the physical kit and then when I work on the digital kit. So I wanted to let you guys know that. All right, so we are working on the Evening Story Kit. Oh, another thing I should mention is I did go ahead and post up a first video, a video that went before this one today. And that one is the basics of my process when it comes to project planning with digital kits. So if you would like a very general, on average, here is the process that I follow, that is going to be the video for you. It's also going to be a really great introduction into what we are doing today. And if you have any questions about this, that might be the first place to go and look for some answers. So hopefully that will be really beneficial to you as well. So let's go ahead and dive into the actual project planning for evening. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is pull up the image of the digital kit here on the screen. Okay, so here we are. This is the full kit that I received, or that we receive as the digital kit for being a part of the classroom content. And what I do here, this is the very first step for me, is to really get familiar with the product that I am going to be using. I'm looking for a variety of different things as I look through the products. Things like, what are sentiments that are popping off of this page for me? Things that are triggering different stories that I could tell with them. What are the colors that are included in this kit, and how can I use those to my advantage? Or if I don't necessarily like the colors, how can I change them so that they are something I do like and will work for me? What types of shapes are included in this month's kit, which, as we can see with evening, there are a lot of circular elements. So how can I potentially use circles to help me tell some kind of story this month? And then I'm also going to look for like stamp sets or things that I could use, patterns, I guess, that I could use to clip into the different PNG files. So for instance, I could take the dark blue card with the white stars and clip that into the word evening in order to give the word evening that pattern as, what it is. So things like that are what I'm looking for as I'm going through the products here, just giving them a glance over. So once I have taken a moment to go ahead and look over all of the components in the kit, and I've got some story ideas ruminating, then I'm going to move on to the next step in my process, which is to create folders on my computer, so digital folders that I am going to name after the different stories, and those are going to be the containers that I will place all of the product, the photos, and the journaling I'm going to need in order to tell that story. So let's go ahead and bring up my screen, and so where you can see the folders that I'm talking about for Evening Story Kit, and then from there we'll go ahead and start to plan this. Now, I do have one caveat, and that is that I have already actually filmed this video, but for whatever reason, the audio file didn't work. So I am redoing this. The reason I want to tell you that is because my planning process may go a little bit quicker this time than it would normally take me, just because I already know what I want to add into these different files at this point because I've already thought it out. But I still want to show you the process that I would take in order to get those products into the folders. So let's go ahead and switch over to my desktop and we'll go from there. So now you can see on my screen, and I do have a little webcam here set up so you guys can see me too. I'm playing with a new screen capture program. And I'm really excited because now when I do these types of videos on my computer, I can have this little box here on my screen that shows you my face and my big old chunky sweater, but hey, or sweatshirt, whatever. So, although I will be looking up a lot because my webcam is underneath my computer, so I apologize for all the chin action you're about to get here. So let's take a look at these actual files. In my files or in my documents here, I've got a couple of ways that I go ahead and I store all this stuff. So I typically organize my projects by the year. So I've got my 2021 projects folder, and then from there by the project type. So for this one, it's going to be Story Kit Crush because I am crushing a story kit. Then I go into the actual kit, which this one is the evening story kit. And then inside of the evening story kit, I have separate folders for my physical projects. And then I also have this main folder for my hybrid layouts. Inside of my hybrid layouts are where I am placing all of these individual folders for the stories that I would like to tell. Now, the ideas from these stories came from a variety of places. Some of them were the ones that I thought about as I was looking at the image earlier. Some of them came from listening to the story chat on the Allie Edwards Instagram account, and some of them came from actually watching Allie's classroom content on the evening story kit. So lots of different ways that you can come up with ideas. It doesn't have to just be from the product. And in fact, it's sometimes easier to start with story, so to not necessarily let the product dictate as much of the story concept when you're working digitally, because you can really make the products that you have available to you work for your story rather than your story work for the products, if that makes sense. So there is a little bit more room to play when it comes with hybrid storytelling. So let me talk you through some of the ideas that I came up with for working with this kit digitally. The first was this concept of the stuff of bedtime. So I believe Laura Varshine, it could have been somebody else, but I think it was her, mentioned in the story chat on Instagram this idea of documenting the items that her children have to have when they go to bed. Or if that wasn't her exact story, that is what popped out of my head when she was talking about, maybe it was like arranging stuffed animals or something that her daughter does. For me, my kids both have very particular items that they must have in order to go to bed. And I thought it would be really fun to collect all of those items and take a photo of them, a flat lay photo, which means that I am basically taking those items, putting them on a white background, and taking a photo from above. So it's the items with the white background. So I'd like to do that with the items that they have to have when they go to bed, and then to tell a story to go along with it. I'm also thinking about pairing this with a full page photo. Let me actually go ahead and pull back up this evening story kit preview so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm thinking about pairing this story concept with a full page photo of my children in their beds. So I'm thinking I'll do a separate story for each of them. And then to use this stamp set that says Sweet Dreams with one of the blue Starry Night patterns clipped inside of that word. So that to me seems really exciting. I like that idea. So there might be two titles. So I'm also thinking about using the card that says bedtime and extracting the word bedtime, or just making that card a bit longer and adding journaling to describe what all of the different items are that they need when they go to bed. Now, this story doesn't have to be just for kids. Like, I could totally tell this story about me. What are the things that I must have in order to go to bed at night? What are the things that help me to unwind? What are the items that I always use every single night, or, whoever else is in your household? So this type of story is very versatile for really for anyone to use. Okay, so let's talk about story number 2. And actually, I think I'm just going to leave this image up here so you guys can see the products that helped me spark some of these ideas. The next one is to talk about the facts and feelings of our weekend routine. So the concept came from the card that says weekend routine. There's a card that says weekend evenings, and I want to go ahead and take that one and use the digital portion to create potentially a 3x8 photo or a 3x8 journaling card, and maybe pair that with some 2x2 photos that represent the things that we do on the weekends, because our weekend evenings do look very different from our weekday evenings. Even though we are working from home and my kids are here at home, there still is a little bit of a difference between the weeknights and the weekend nights. So I think that will be a fun story to tell. And even if I don't get around to telling it now, this is one that I can totally come back to at any point in time and go ahead and tell the story, and all of the components will already be set up for me. So that is primarily what I want to use with this one, is the weekend evenings, and then probably some of the pattern cards in order to fill in some of the other 2x2 spots in a 2x2 pocket page protector. The next one that I thought about is a his and hers evening routine. So for this one, I'd like to use the evening routine card, which that one is not a stamp set, so I will need to extract it off of the card to create my titles, and to say his evening routine and her evening routine. For this one, I'm thinking about doing 2 3x8 journaling cards with some sticker bullet points to talk about, or potentially some time stamping, to talk about what Erin and I do at night, how our schedules are very much the same, and also how they are very much different. And then to pair that with 2 3x8 photos, so one of me and one of him, possibly in our pajamas, just to designate that, it's nighttime. So that is story number 3. Story number 4, I thought about taking the card that says currently, and it's got all those ing words in there, and making that into a full page journaling page. And when it expands to be that large, then I might have some extra room where I can add additional text, information, journaling in between each of those sections, and maybe also some photos that can correlate to it as well. So that's where I'm thinking of going with that one. Next, I like the sentiment that says, "So done with this day." And there is a journaling card and also a stamp, a PNG stamp. So you can use either one of them. I love the idea of using that stamp maybe on some kind of photo, just a digital stamp right smack on the photo. And it could really help me to tell 2 very different stories that would use the same sentiment. So one story could be, the end of a hard day. We all have hard days. We all have days that we're just ready to be done with. And it would be a great sentiment to tell that story. The other story I was thinking was similar, like still so done with this day, but maybe it's not necessarily because it's been a bad day, but more so just it's been a busy day. There are times when we have so much going on and we're just exhausted and ready to lay down and go to bed and be done with the day and start fresh and new and well rested the next. So I felt like really that could go either way for that story. And then the very last one I thought of is not necessarily a story as much as it is an idea for a repeat journaling card. I did this with the morning story kit as well. And I like the idea of having a companion page that looks very much the same but made with the evening instead. What I did is I took those wood veneer pieces that say good evening and bonsoir and buenas tardes and so on and so on. And with the morning version, I did the morning version of those words. And I created a repeat pattern on the top inch and a half of a 3x4 card. And then I clipped a pattern on top of it. So for this one, I'm thinking about doing that and then clipping it with either the navy blue with the white stars or the one that's a little bit more galaxy looking that's got the text boxes in the middle. So that one's like different shades of blue, also with some starriness in it as well. So I'm thinking about doing that and then using that for a week of Project Life potentially. We'll see where things bring us, in order to get that done. So let's go back to my folders and then we can go from there. Okay, so now on my computer, on the left side of the screen, you can see that I've got my folders open, or at least my main folder open for all of my evening hybrid layouts. And you can see that I have 6 story folders set up, in addition to a project planning, which is where I put the content like the video I'm making right now. But for the rest of it, I've got a folder for each story concept that I had come up with. And this is going to give me a home to put all of the items that I am thinking about using for that project. That will eventually make this easier when I go to design my layout later. So I've got the stuff of bedtime, weekend routine, his and hers routine, currently in the evenings, so done with this day, and Project Life Goodnight journaling cards. On the right hand of my screen, I have the evening story kit. So this includes all of the digital add-ons and then the main digital kit as well. Most of what I'm going to be pulling today is going to come from that main kit, but I do have a few ideas of some things I could do with the add-ons as well. So let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to start right at the top with this stuff of bedtime. I do have a product folder here from when I did this before because I just want to make sure I get everything that I had previously thought of in here as well so that I can double check myself. We'll see how I do. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the evening digital story kit, the main kit. And for this one, I was inspired by the journaling cards. So let's start with the cards. In here, I'm going to grab the bedtime journaling card. I also want the one that says, was there another one I wanted? Well, for sure I want the bedtime one. Nope, Sweet Dreams is going to be something different. I might grab this pattern one because sometimes I like to use the patterns to create some kind of shelf or line of separation in between the title and the text. So I think that might be a really nice addition to have waiting in the wings. So let's put both of those and I'm going to copy them and paste them directly into my Stuff of Bedtime folder. So then let's head out of here and go next to the stamp set. So this is where I was thinking about using the Sweet Dreams. I believe that might be the only one. I might also say the story of this evening potentially. So let's grab both of those, copy and paste. So now we've got our stamps and our cards. And then we're going to turn to embellishments. So let's go to chipboard first. I like the idea of this sleep tight and the good night. I also like the moon or the half moon. And I also kind of like this love my bed sentiment. Those are probably the main ones here. So I am going to go ahead and copy those and paste them as well. Now I'm not by any means going to use all of this. I just want to make sure I've got enough items that when I do go to play later, I know that I've got enough to cover me. So if one shape doesn't work, another one might work better. So then we can come in here and see if there's anything else. If there's the metal icons, the large plastic circles, the plastic word, which I'm thinking all of that, no. The sticker sheet, which maybe, let's see if I put stickers in here. I did not. But maybe I would want stickers to help me correlate to the different items. So maybe I will grab like 5 of them or so, and let's go ahead and paste those into here. The only thing I don't like is this pink one because you can see I've got a lot of oranges and a lot of yellow. So I like the star, I like the blue, I like the teal is fine. It's probably still not my favorite. The grid is okay, but maybe we can do this star one and maybe we can do this galaxy one. And it is also possible that we could do a bunch of galaxy ones. The other thing I want to do is actually go back to the journal cards because I really like this. It's the watercolor star background card. I really like the way that that one looks, and it could be really cool to clip into the Sweet Dreams. So that's a potential for me as well. And if I do that, then I could tie in this and just print a whole bunch of these little circles that have the same pattern in order to have everything go together, have it all mesh really well. So that's probably all I'm going to put in this one, and then we'll move on to the next. So the next one is weekend routine. For this one, there is a stamp set. So let's start there because the stamps are a little bit easier to work with than extracting a sentiment off of a journaling card. You're going to get a little bit better quality on your image when you're using the stamp versus the card. So we're going to go with the weekend evenings card. I'm thinking that this could be a 3x8 paired with the 2x2s. So then let's go, and is there any other weekend evenings? I could say like in the evening, or, so you know what, let's put that over here as a subtitle potentially. That's probably good from here. And then let's see if there were any journaling cards. So we might again want to use one of these types of cards to create a clipping mask. I wonder if I have that in here. I sure do. Yep. So far I am nailing the nail on the head or whatever. Hitting the nail on the head. Nailing the nail. Hitting the nail on the head is what I meant to say. I also want to pair this with a 2x2 page, and it's very likely that I won't have 12 2x2s to put in. So a lot of times I just do half. I do half 2x2 photos and then half 2x2 patterns. So let's grab some patterns. I like this. I like these three really that have a lot more of those blue tones in them, and I would probably only select one of them. So for now, I'll just put them all into my folder, and then later, once I have my photos that I'm working with, I can make the final decision on which one I like the best. But one 4x6 card cuts up into 6 2x2s, so it works out perfectly to just use the one. Or, I mean, I could technically crop them into 2x2s and use different patterns if I wanted to, but I like the consistency of having them all the same if I can. And then let's go ahead into those chipboard shapes. Another thing I like to do when I have pattern paper 2x2s is to add some kind of embellishment on top just to make it a little more interesting. So one of the things I like in here are these 3 banners that have the same shape. Even though one is slightly smaller, I can make it bigger so that it is the exact same shape as the other 2. And with there being 3, I could add 3 of them to 3 of those squares, 2x2 squares, and we still are following the rule of 3 at this point where, hopefully it would make it visually pleasing enough. Worst case would be to either just not include them or, maybe see if I've got any other banner shapes that would work as well. I might in my stash, and or just leave it blank and not do anything. But for now, let's go ahead and copy these 3 over into my folder, and then let's see if there was anything else. You know what? Both of these had something else. So both of these, the stuff of bedtime, I also added originally one of the, not transparencies, one of the add-ons, which were these moon puffy stickers. I actually didn't order any of these. They were sold out by the time I went to go do my ordering, but I don't usually use a lot of puffy stickers anyway, so it's okay. But I really do like this, either the gold one or this solid yellow moon. And I was thinking one of the things I could do is to potentially print that on some kind of textured paper. So maybe on fabric paper, just to give this page an additional texture, which would also help to increase the interest as well. So let's copy those and paste them over. Okay, so now we're going to come back to the weekend routine. And the other thing I was thinking here is to potentially add one of these felt stars onto one of the shapes. Maybe something in the middle or so, because I do still have 2 of those remaining. I also still have a bunch of the small moons, so that's another possibility. I could do like the small, see how many there are. There's 1, 2, 3. So if I did the 3 moons and a star, that would give me 4 pieces. We'll go ahead and replace that star. And that's not a number I super love. I wish there was 6 instead of 4, but we can see what happens when we actually go to put this together. All right, so now let's move on to the his and hers routine. So for this one, I'm going to grab that digital card first because, as I said before, this is the only place you see the word routine is on this card. So evening routine, and we'll bring that over to my documents here. And I'm going to use the word his and hers. I did a project a while ago, like over a year ago, where I did his and hers top 5 for Erin and myself. And on that file, I know I have the words his and hers in a font that matches pretty similarly Allie's handwriting. So I'm just going to go back into my files and grab those to use them again since, I don't remember what the font was. So when I click into this next file, you'll see that those 2 projects are in there, but that's why I actually want to remove the his and hers right off of there. So then we're also going to grab some of the, do I have any other cards? Yes. So I did evening routine. Okay. I just have to remind myself of what the heck I did here. So I did also put in some of the pattern cards again to create maybe some separation in between the text and the title, which, we'll decide on that a little bit later. And then let's go into, I don't think I have anything from the stamp set in here, But I did grab some of the chipboard. So I grabbed the asterisks and I put those in here because those could be a really fun shape to add up next to the title. So it might be like his evening routine with some kind of asterisk star and her evening routine with an asterisk star on it as well. So that could be a really great option. And the last thing I wanted to add into here were some of those stickers. Let's go to the sticker sheet. And I want to grab all of the ones that don't have words on them. And I can always figure out later which ones I actually want to use and which ones I don't. But having these in here are going to allow me to create journaling bullet points, which is one of my favorite ways to add text to or context to my photos. So that's going to let me do that. And like I said, I can be choosy later which ones I actually want to do. And it's possible that maybe I only want to pick 2 of them and then just repeat them over and over again. So maybe it's like the teal and the gray, and it goes teal, gray, teal, gray, teal, gray. You know, we'll see design-wise what looks the best when we get to that later. So let's make sure that we got everything I need. Looks like I put 2 more chipboard pieces in here. And then I also have those, these are the older projects, right, that have the his and hers on it. So the other 2 chipboard shapes that I picked were the ones that says early to bed and up late. And I chose those and put them in here because although Aaron does not necessarily go to bed early, he typically goes to bed earlier than me. So it just made sense that he was the early to bed and I was the up late. So that could also be a fun way to differentiate us on this spread. Okay, so let's move on to story number 4. For story number 4, the biggest one is this card, this currently card. And then, did I put anything else? So it looks like I may have also, I see what I did here. So I've got this currently card that I'm thinking of blowing up to a full page size. And then once that is done, I also really liked this card here, which says sunsets are proof that no matter what happens, every day can end beautifully. So I think that that's a really, really pretty thing to say. And it matches because this is yellow on blue and that is yellow on blue. So I thought, okay, let's put that in there. And then maybe I can pair this with a page that has 2 4x6s. So then I need a 4x6 horizontal photo. And then on top of the photo, maybe I can add a stamp set. So I did the story of tonight, and then I also had in the evenings where those could be fun sentiments to add digitally on top of a photo, potentially. You know, we'll see what happens. Next, we're going to move on to the So Done With This Day. So for this one, I am going to start actually with the stamp set because it is in here. And like I said, it's easier to work with a digital stamp than it is to pull it off of a card. So we're going to start there. Then I want to go into my journaling cards. I'm looking for one or a couple that I would potentially clip into the stamp sentiment to create a clipping mask. So I'm going to grab the star card. I like the stripe card, these ones that have a little bit more of those green tones in them, not so much blue. And that might be it. Yep, that is it. So the rest of this I don't really know because I don't necessarily have this story right now to tell. This is one that I'll just let sit in this folder. And when there comes a day when I feel this way, for whatever reason, I can just pop into here and I've got my products, I've got my ideas, and I can go ahead and get this story told. Now I will, here in a second, I will go ahead and design everything. I'm not going to do it on this video, but I do design everything in addition to the 2 process videos that you'll see later. So that when I come in here, I do know the concept. It's almost like having the sketches that I create. So I make the spread in Photoshop so that when I've got the photo and when I've got text, it's just a matter of adding it into there and then I can print everything off and get it done. So I just like having, the basis, the foundation of the page set up and ready to go. The last one I've got here is pretty easy. All I'm going to throw into this are just those wood veneer words, all 5 of them. And these are what I would use to create the repeat pattern cards. Let me make sure I'm I'm not 100% sure. That's a lie. Because in addition to these words, I also need the patterns that I would clip onto them. So yeah, duh. So let's also go back to the journal cards and let's grab some patterns that might work. I did the stripe here. I did the star. Whoop. So the star, the stripe, and the starry night. I think those were the only three. And so I'm just going to copy them, paste them, and get them over here into my folder. So that, friends, is generally the way that I am project planning my digital kits. So now I've got 6 folders set up with products to help me tell 6 different stories. From here, the next thing I would do is really to go and collect all of my photos from my photo storage area, which for me is Shutterfly, is what I use. So I would log on to Shutterfly and leaf through the last couple months to see, do I have any nighttime pictures? Do I have anything that would work for these stories I want to tell? And if I don't, then I'm going to make a note of what photos I need to take so that I can go ahead and get that done. So like the flat lay photos, I already know I don't have those. So I need to go ahead and pull together those supplies in order to get that photo taken. But I might be able to find a photo of both kids in their separate beds. So that could be totally fine. For the weekend routine, I know I don't have a ton of evening photos from the weekends. So maybe that's, this coming up weekend, I need to set a reminder in my phone, like, hey, don't forget to take some pictures this evening of what you're doing. For the his and hers, again, I don't really have the photos for that. I'm thinking one of me in my pajamas and one of Aaron in his pajamas. So I need us to, maybe tonight when we go to bed, I'll snap a picture of him. He can snap a picture of me, and then I'll have those ready to go as well. Currently, it just depends what my currentlies are. So done with this day. I don't have that story yet, but when I do, I can, put my photo in there. And then the journaling cards don't necessarily need photos either. So I would, next I would go and grab my photos and add those all in. And then I would move on to the design step and the journaling step and the printing step and then the putting it together step. So, which if you want to see or hear any more about what I do for those, then you can check out the first video in this series. Okay, friends, so that is going to be it for me for today. I hope that this has been helpful for you to see what is my process that I go through as I'm working with my kit, especially for the digital kits. It's pretty fun, and the nice thing, I will say, that one of the nice things with working with digital kits is that you can reuse the same patterns. Like I have probably 4 of my stories that I all want to use either the navy with the white stars or the Starry Night watercolor one. And I can do that because I do have these digitally where I have that option. And that's really cool. Okay, so for the rest of this week, on Tuesday, tomorrow, you're going to see the first of the 2 process videos that I will be putting together. I'm thinking I'm going to do the stuff of bedtime one of the days, and I'm going to do the his and hers bedtime routine on the other day. So those are my 2 spreads that I am going to get done this week. So tomorrow you are going to see the stuff of bedtime. I am going to be putting this story together digitally on Photoshop Creative Cloud, and that will be a video. And then I will be doing the exact same spread on Photoshop Elements. So if you have Creative Cloud, you can watch the Creative Cloud video. If you have Elements, you can watch the Elements video and then be able to follow those processes pretty closely. And we're going to do the same thing on Wednesday with the his and hers evening routine story as well. So that should be really fun. Also, I apologize for any glare on my glasses. I'm starting to wear blue light blocking glasses to help protect my eyes. And it's interesting because I've never worn glasses ever, but I actually really like it. So, but I do know that there's probably some blue glare coming back at you guys throughout this video. So I apologize for that. All right, so that's going to be it. If you guys have any questions about this process, let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to answer you guys. I always try to be as concise as possible and understandable, but I know that sometimes you don't even know what you know. So, always feel free to ask me questions if you don't know a part of the process or if something is confusing or anything like that. I'm happy to answer. And then, with that, I just want to say that I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video. All right, friends. Bye now.